Have you guys seen Jim Carrey's Pet Detective? I think he goes into the insane asylum looking for something. He grabs his hair, pulls it out, and it's all like that's pretty much how I handle it all the time.
We are talking today with Jarrod and Tarsis with Fresh Prince Miami. I want to say Fresh Prince, like.
Yeah, that was just like on word.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I know we've been trying to get with you guys. I'm so glad your schedule worked out because you guys are so busy. So I wanted to find out from you first. I know, Jarrod, your background is in engineering, and then Tarsis, yours is in interior design. What was how did you guys go from those roles into now working and running a business together? Tell me a little bit about that journey.
The journey starts with actually the way that we met. If I could just back up a little bit and kind of tell you that, so it might make things a little bit better. It's actually a deeply personal story. We're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of that. I'll never forget the date. It was November 8th, 2014. And I was actually at the end of a 15-year-long addiction to alcohol and drugs. And my dad called me and told me that there was an addiction freedom conference coming up at a local church close by to where I was living. And so it was set up for a Saturday, November 8th. And of course, like a true addict, on November 7th, Friday the night before, I decided to have a few drinks, which turned into a lot of drinks, which turned into a bender. And around 6 o'clock in the morning, I was getting ready to text my dad, hey, I'm sick, I can't go, classic addict excuse. And I laid in bed and I felt something inside me say, get up, take a shower, get dressed and go. So I listened to that voice and I went. And for 3 hours, there was something going on inside my heart. There was a few speakers, but the last one, just as soon as she started speaking, started tearing something right here. So started impacting me in a way that I just hadn't been in years. And at the end, when she opened up the altar, I ran up there. I darted as fast as I could. I dropped my knee. I think I was the first one there. I dropped my knees. And I sobbed for like 45 minutes, just asking God to forgive me. I was raised a Christian, but I just decided to go my own path. And I was asking him to forgive me and to heal me. I had tried breaking free from this addiction for over a decade, and its clutches were too strong. I was trapped. And I believed it. For the first time in my life, I believed that journey, that dark journey, was over. And I really was free. Now, the reason I tell this story is because, and this goes to show God's poetic masterpiece, on that altar where I was rededicating my life was a beautiful girl singing praises that would about 1 year later, almost to the day, become my wife. And I thank God every day for speaking to me that morning when I was so close to saying, no way, not going to go. He said, get up, get dressed, take a shower. I got something for you. And so that's how we met.
Yeah.
Tarsis was working in the corporate world. I had been given another opportunity. Like I told you, I had burnt a lot of bridges, but I had been given an opportunity at a t-shirt company as an office assistant. And it was a screen printing shop. And so I kind of learned the ropes there, learned graphic design, learned how the business worked. So about a year later, almost to the day, November 7th, 2015, Tarsis and I get married. She gets pregnant on our honeymoon and has Leora, our daughter, 9 months later. So to make some extra cash, I started reselling the services of the company that I had worked for. And before you knew it, we had built that up to something that seemed like it could be a sustainable business. So Tarsis didn't really want to go back to work after the 3 months of maternity leave. She wanted to, be a hands-on mom, and this thing looked like it had, real opportunities. So we talked about it. We decided to take it on full time, and in 2017 we did. So
as nurturing our daughter, we decided that we had to take roles. He already knew about the printing business. I already had background administration, experience. So I started taking on the roles to the background administration work, work orders, inventory, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So, and then with the graphics, that's also part of art. So that's the part where I put in my interior design skills with art.
And also social media. She manages our social media.
Yes.
And she has that eye. from her training and just, natural talent.
Yeah, everything that I implemented in the design field, I put it into our screen.
That's the story of how it started.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's, the interesting thing is how fast I think that moved, because, we've talked to several other couples, and certainly we got married fairly quick too, by a lot of modern standards. I think a little over 2 years.
We dated for on our 2-year anniversary of dating. We got married the next month.
Right.
Yeah. So that kind of moved pretty quick, but then it took like 18 years for her
to settle in.
I'm working with me, together on this. There's a lot of changes in so that kind of like immediate shift. I've heard plenty of stories of kind of the pregnancy and that kind of change in life kind of initiate some of these things sometimes, but that was definitely a quick turnaround. I also have heard of plenty of people, including my two sisters, who got knocked on their honeymoons. Actually, I have two younger sisters, and they the oldest of the two was she got married a little bit later, but on her wedding night, they both, the youngest sister was the maid of honor, and they both got pregnant, and then they both had boys on the same day 9 months later. You had that natural, those two natural complementary roles kind of fitting in very quickly.
Thank God, eventually really start to mesh. But at first, she had some ideas as well that were good ideas. So there was a lot of conversations. Yeah, we'll call them conversations that took place.
Y'all were just reselling, but now y'all have like the full.
Yes, correct. So we the way it goes, before Leora was born, I was working. I had actually gotten a new job at a lighting company, a corporate office, and it was actually a pretty good job. And my phone kept going off with customers that wanted to buy T-shirts. So I kept having to run to the bathroom to kind of close these sales. And at the end of that month, I ended up making a lot more money on the side hustle than I did on my job. And I also felt incredibly guilty for leaving my desk as often as I did. I'm like, this isn't right. So that was another reason why, we decided to, go separate ways. So that was 2017, January, when we decided to take it on as our sole source of income. Then in 2018, towards the end of it, after realizing how much we were paying our reseller, we're like, you know what, we could have bought our own equipment, twice by now and saved all that money. Why don't we just take the plunge and do it? So we lived in the duplex at the time, and we decided to convert the smaller side to a screen print shop. And we bought, some modest equipment. It was manual and small, but it did what it had to do. And it was a full-blown, screen print production. I mean, for the first 6 months, I worked probably 80 to 100 hours a week, just trying to fine-tune everything, fix mistakes, watching YouTube videos, calling every screen printing vendor that I knew to get guidance and advice, because there's a million variables when it comes to this. It is not an easy thing, the production side of it. Eventually got it dialed in.
How many T-shirts did he mess up?
There was a couple of orders. And then the biggest challenge was, after you print the shirt, you have to run it through this conveyor dryer. And if you don't nail the right speed and temperature for each one of these factors, either it'll wash off or it'll over cure and crack.
Right.
And so, I mean, I remember, I'm, an engineering nerd, so I had my spreadsheets and I was documenting data and making everything and finally fine tuning things. And like I say, we ultimately got it to work, but it was not easy.
Yeah. A lot of shirts we kind of misprinted, but that was a learning process.
What did you do with all the misprinted shirts?
We use them as samples now.
As testers.
Yes, testers.
So as we go to print new work, we grab an old shirt and print a sample to make sure everything looks good. So we still have a lot.
So just thinking about when I, left my, what for the longest time was considered my safe, stable job, the 9 to 5, the salary and everything.
Right.
And came to work with Will. it's like you get a lot of work and then you don't get a lot of work. It's constantly,
Yes.
rounds.
Yeah.
How did you handle those times where, especially because like you guys have like newborn as well, and that takes a whole nother level of like, I don't want to say fear, but I mean almost like you're like, now I'm responsible for this other like human being, and it's not just us. And like, when things are, you're figuring all that stuff out and it's tight, like, how did y'all handle that? Because I know I definitely had some meltdowns where I was like, what did I do? Did I make the right choice? Like, do I need to like start updating my resume and get back out there? Like, there were times where it was really scary.
You never told me.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Stop it.
Have you guys seen Jim Carrey's Pet Detective? I think he goes into the insane asylum looking for something, he grabs his hair, pulls it out, and it's all like, that's pretty much how I handle it all the time. Honestly, I think Tarsis would agree with me that the only reason we have made it to this point is because of our relationship with God. Because there has been so many times when we have really wanted to quit and find safer ground. And we keep, every time that happens, we stop, we pray, and something happens. We feel this sense inside us that says, trust me, I've brought you this far. I'm not going to abandon you. Trust me. And even though he has so far, almost 9 years later, never failed us, still, when sales get slow, I get nervous.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, and I put myself in expectancy. I'm expecting good things to happen, and I pray over that, and I'm like, Lord, I'm expecting you to come through, but of course we have to do the work. We have to go and reach out to customers, which she's really good at. Email customers, teachers, all that stuff. So all of that, it winds up being harvested from all the work that we do. So the slow moments, I think of it where before I used to freak out and be scared, but those slow moments, as long as we're working and be like Will says about planting, your crops and all that stuff, that's when we start, planting our seeds when it gets slow.
100%. As a matter of fact, as you guys know, we've had to reschedule this like 5 times because we haven't been able to make it. This particular week, we happen to be a little slow. Hate to admit it, but we're like, no, let's take advantage, and plant the seeds, like she said. So these are some seeds that we've been wanting to plant for a while. We're happy we're finally able to.
We're happy to be your fertile ground.
Yes.
What we're here talking about marriage and business and how they all kind of tie together. I look at your business and see it as kind of this interesting combination because you're ultimately selling a product, but it's really very much a service. Of the design and taking somebody's idea and putting it into the physical world. So and you mentioned, you kind of listed out like a lot of your different target markets or the types of, but it's customers that you have. Like, how did you go about building those relationships? And I think a little bit later, I'm gonna kind of compound on that and talk about brand new geographic markets too.
Sure. So it's definitely a service because of the fact that we offer custom work. I mean, there is a lot of back and forth with the customer to make sure we get the design right, to make sure we understand their expectation, their vision, so that we can print and deliver exactly what they're looking for. By far, our greatest resource has been word of mouth. We have tried advertising and we get some bites from it, but there's nothing like word of mouth, referrals that really bring it all together. So that's how you ask how we get the customers, and that's the biggest way. Now we've had some major pivots, like 2 restarts with our business. The first came in early 2020. We were really starting to pick up steam. As I told you, we bought our production equipment in 2018. So beginning of 2020, we had some big plans, and all of a sudden COVID comes, boom, and everything stops. I mean, a huge part of our customer base was schools and events, and both of them just came to complete stops. So that was definitely a shock for the entire industry, lots of industries. Now, one way that we were able to pivot was that all of a sudden masks became incredibly popular. So we pivoted quickly and adjusted our screen press to be able to receive and print on masks. And that helped because we did end up printing thousands and thousands of masks that year. Then the next one, we finally recovered from COVID. And in early 22, we were outgrowing the smaller side of the duplex that we were living. So we started looking at some commercial spots down south. And the rents were $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month for areas that we knew we'd outgrow soon again. So we prayed about it, and we felt led to look around Florida for a property with a shop on it so that we could expand. And one of the pluses of having our shop on our property during COVID was the fact that when other screen print shops had to shut down, when they were forced to shut down, we were able to keep going because we were on our property.
That was another reason how we got more customers, because a lot of other print companies shut down permanently.
And that's
so
true.
That helped us out a lot. Sadly, but that also helped us out a lot. And of course, where I came from a big box store, I worked at Home Depot for 13 years. So now that they see that we had opened up a printing company, I was filtering my friends and the managers from there, and the district managers and the regional managers. They would call me up, and that's how we would gain traction with customers. With generating leads from my previous, employment.
So the second pivot was moving to Lake City, Florida, which is where we are now. And we ended up losing some customers from South Florida, and we expected to. That was part of what we planned for. And building new local customers from Lake City was slower than we expected. So that was definitely one of those scary parts that you were talking about. Like, did we make the right decision? But
that don't know, that may be listening, but it's a lot of people from South Florida. Like Lake City is the opposite end of the state. Right?
Yes.
It is north. There's like maybe a couple of exits north of that on 75 before you're in Georgia. And so it's pretty much, it's a
very much
different environment. And so when I saw you were moving to Lake City, I probably looked at y'all like the people who looked at me funny when I said I was moving to Miami way back in the day.
Yeah.
Because it's a completely different world. But that was actually one of the interesting things that I wanted to ask you about that, and that change is but it's rolling to that completely different culture there. Obviously, the advantages, you got a big thing. I see the sunsets and the sunrises. Tarsis posts sometimes, they look great, very, very familiar and nostalgic to me. But in that whole new environment, how have you managed to shift and start in this, basically this green field up there where you had to create all new types of relationships, find new clients?
I would say we started at our church.
Yeah.
Our church is when we got involved with our church, and then we mentioned that we were screen printers, and then it just exploded from there, because there's other businesses within the church that there's other business owners in the church that use us for their screen printing, and then it just started growing. Then we
word of mouth.
We got involved with the
Lake City Chamber of Commerce. That's also helped a lot.
And we also was in a radio station at Lake City that they were.
We've advertised a little bit locally.
So people are hearing us, reaching out to us, but that's how we're gaining traction up here.
Right.
Still all about building those trusted relationships.
Yes, it is.
Yes. And they become friends, Most of these clients are friends up here in Lake City. So that's building relationships right there, and they'll refer you, us to someone else.
And I think I've been able to refer you a couple people up there.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, you have. You see how it goes?
And actually, that hat you're wearing looks pretty familiar too.
So y'all have also, but it's and actually didn't y'all expanded into embroidery.
That's right.
Yes.
We also offer embroidery, not just screen printing. We also offer embroidery. We decorate any kind of apparel, T-shirts, polos, hoodies, workwear, business wear. And we also offer event displays like banners, backdrops, table covers, canopy tents, feather flags, all kinds of things. And smart market. I'm sorry?
That whole large format printing.
Yes,
exactly. Outside.
And smaller marketing materials as well, such as business cards, flyers, brochures.
Postcards.
Right.
Yeah. So we've expanded.
Was that part of the plan? Like why you needed the bigger space to be able to accommodate the equipment?
So some of the other printing, we do have strategic partnerships with other printers, but we are able to offer those services at a very reasonable and competitive price, and the quality is top notch. Yes. And that's what most important to us always is quality over quantity. We always want to deliver top quality products. If you want to keep that word of mouth thing going, you can't deliver poor quality.
Keep working for you or against you,
right? Yes.
Yeah. So talking about, you each trying to have your roles, like you already knew about the screen printing, you already had that experience. Tarsis, you have the administrative, but also the eye for design with your interior design background.
But it's
you guys, we also are working together all the time. We are in the same space,
but it's
doing different roles, but there is definitely times where that overlaps, and
but it's
sometimes the decision making process of like, how is that going to work? Who's going to get the final say? If there's a difference of opinion, how do y'all navigate that? Because that's the same thing in marriage as in work. Is you're not always going to agree on the same things. Like how do you?
What's your process?
Yeah, what's your process to like work through that?
Well, I mean, at the beginning it was hard. We were still learning about each other, and so we got two alphas here. So it was a little hard in the beginning, but like he had a vision, and there were moments where I had to submit, even though I was like, I don't know, but I had to submit in some of his instructions, and then he was open to some of mine. As we got through the years, we've gotten a lot better by, if he gets upset or if I get upset or I feel like I'm getting frustrated, we'll walk away.
Yeah.
Where before we would be like, what are you talking about? We would walk away and be like, okay, let's get a breath of fresh air. And then when we come back together, it's more calm, it's more clear. And then one of us will, I guess, submit to whatever instruction it is. But I've been learning as I go too, even though he's taught me a lot. I've got on social media, I've been following other screen print, businesses, because I want to learn as well. So whenever there's something that's missing in the gap, I can say, hey, honey, maybe this might work or that might work. And so that has helped out a lot.
Yeah. We both do have our letters of resignation on file, ready to print and ready to hand to each other. No one's noticed. And we're constantly threatening each other with, I'm going to print it and sign it today. So, but something that's actually been something that's been crucial for us, and we've been doing this for the last few months, and it's really helped, is we have a scheduled vision meeting every Saturday. Okay. And it is rock solid. If we miss everything else that week, we don't miss this meeting. And it's not just about business. There's business in it, but it's about the whole brand thing. And we've laid out priorities for ourselves. What's first? Our relationship with God is first. Then we actually have our relationships with ourselves, because we know if this isn't happy or finding fulfillment in life, then everything else underneath is going to break down. Because if you're not happy, if you're depressed, if you're miserable, everything else is going to stand. Next would come our family, and then business, and then church ministries and other things. Yeah. So what we do once a week is we look at where we are, how that week has gone, what's taking priorities. We make sure that we're aligned the way that we have set up, what we think is the best way to move forward with that priority list. And if things are unaligned, and then while we're doing this, we are avid calendar people. We schedule everything. We have to, because of how much we have going on.
Yeah.
So we look at the calendar coming up for the week, and we're like, how does that calendar reflect our priority list over here? Is it unbalanced? Do we need to reshape things? And we do if we have to. So that's been big. And then the roles, we've switched a few times. Tarsis is actually the lead screen printer now. Thank God. Because I was tired of it.
And I said, I'm not touching that thing.
At first, she was like, I'm not going to print anything. I'm not a t-shirt printer. Now she's in there. I walk in there. She's like, get out of my shop. And I leave.
And I think honestly, communication is key. Especially when we have meetings once a week. It really helps us to dive down on things that we have to do, and especially with our roles and everything. Communication is huge, and I think that has helped us a lot on the whole thing,
yeah, for sure.
But
Yeah, that is very sound advice. And so like two things came up for me as you were talking, but it's and I want to come back to kind of the, but it's how you keep that marriage first. So that's been a but it's in these conversations, right? Like people talk about, but I'm sure y'all have met people like, oh, you work together in a like, oh, I could never do that with my spouse. And, I'm kind of like, always had the question like, why? Like, is your marriage not strong enough? Do you not communicate well? Or like, what's happening there? But before we get into that, what the interesting thing too with y'all's business is, you're working from home, but you do have kind of like this separate shop that's all set. So are y'all able to like, but it's shut it down at the end of the day, and then when you walk in the house, like you left work over in the shop, or?
Well, production wise, yes, but I mean, I'm an admin in operations. That's always been kind of my strength, and like I said, we have a lot of things going on. It's not just a business. We also have a nonprofit organization, Golden Voice Devotions, that we organized in 2019 with the state. It's a 501(c)(3). So I've been working on a website for that. We do have actually weekly Bible study meetings that Tarsis leads. And then we serve at our church. And I'm the assistant softball coach for my daughter's softball team. And there's a lot going on. So with all that to balance, I really do need to keep focused and make sure that everything's running right. If not, it turns chaotic. And then the relationship with me, if I fail at a lot of things, if I make missteps because I didn't organize properly, then I come down on myself. And then when I'm down, I come down on everybody else. And it's just not a happy place.
I think like after we close the shop, like once everything's done, because we have an employee that we work with as well. And at like 4:00, depending on how much work we have, we'll shut down at 4. Mm-hmm. And then I come inside. He's here in the office till like sometimes till 7, 6, 7. He's while I'm just taking care of our daughter when she comes out of school and stuff like that. But he's always the late one.
Yeah. that was something else I forgot to tell you guys. Early on, just to further complicate our lives, we decided to homeschool Leora.
I was in the beginning, yeah.
So Tarsis, on top of everything else, was also a teacher full time.
Yeah. For 3 years.
Yeah, until Leora finished first grade, right? So
yeah.
Second grade was. Yes. That was another blessing up here in Lake City. Our church opened up a school, and it's fantastic. Yeah. The church that we go to is Christ Central, and they opened up Kingdom Culture Academy. It's top-notch school.
And it has helped us out a lot with our business. It's
amazing.
With the shop. Now I have full-time to help him out completely instead of part-time.
And there's not a little kid running around screaming everywhere.
No, I know, because that's the same thing with us, because both kids are in school, but then all that they're in karate, they're in, there's piano lessons, there's flag football lessons, there's Boy Scouts, and there's Boy Scout camp outs, and then there's there's the games. So yeah, we fully the schedules. It's like, so once the kids come home, I go into mom mode. So I'm like making sure they're getting their homework done, that they're doing their chores, getting dinner ready. So he's usually the one working late at the desk, working on client stuff, whereas I'm in mom mode until they go to bed. And then I might hop back on the computer for a little bit to wrap some things up, or I'm doing some stuff in the morning before they get up in the morning. We both get up at like 5:30 before they get up, try to get some things. So yeah, it's a balancing act.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep. I think that's why with our communication, we have meetings every morning before we start work.
Sure, for the day. What's going on?
We can remind them of what we need to do. But then Saturdays we really dive deep into our meeting, and then we prioritize the week, our life. Kind of helps a lot.
Yeah.
So back to that other foundation, right? Like keeping your marriage primary to the business, right? And that partnership. And but it's what are some of the things that you all do to really kind of prioritize that, or make sure that kind of bedrock foundation is strong, and then the business can build off of that.
Well, we definitely have date nights. We have to have date nights no matter what. We prioritize that, We love to travel.
Yes, there you go.
Take time to travel.
We do a lot of family stuff.
We do a lot of family stuff because we work so we work a lot of hours. We do take some time off to, hey, let's run to Disney,
Right. Or a theme park.
Or a theme park or something, or
play
to
games
Georgia, we'll
together.
go to Wild Adventure.
Yeah.
Like, we'll find things to do that spend some good quality time together.
As a family.
Yeah, as a family.
But here with the spousal relationship, that I think
we could do
probably suffers more than it needs to.
right.
And then we got to talk about how to make that better, because this is the best part of my life. So.
Yes, amen to that.
So someone pause on this end. I'm like, really? Are we gonna hear something?
You know,
No. I feel like
Friday nights, I always look forward to Friday nights
Yes.
because on my calendar I put family night.
yes,
Friday nights we either go out to dinner, we'll do something with Leora. It's a must for us.
Right.
Friday nights, but as opposed to just one day a week,
right.
we can do better.
That totally helps when it's
That
just
helps.
when it's just us three.
100%,
You know, there obviously is interaction between husband and wife in that, but we do need some more just us.
Yes, sir.
I agree. There was a time where we would have like once a month we would have a date night, and then
But it's
we were usually do it on a Friday. But then since our daughter's been playing flag football, our
But
games are every Friday night in the community center near us. Now all our Fridays are football games, so it kind of threw us off. So we haven't really gotten back into the hang of us having a date night. But while we were doing 75 hard, we would go for walks at night around the neighborhood, just the two of us. So that was, it was
That's awesome.
and just kind of, sometimes we would chat, sometimes we would just kind of walk.
Yeah.
Over it again with no
Yeah.
kid and no other interruption. So that was good too.
But Shannon finished 75 hard. It's like never.
That's right. You guys just finished that. Good job. Congratulations.
Shannon just finished it. I had to restart. I said that floor. And so I'm like, oh, are we going on our walk? She's like, I finished.
I'm like, I did my time.
She it's not take one. I expect her to lady. She'll continue. She'll do them occasionally with me.
But I'm like, listen, dude, that was a lot of laundry and a lot of working out, and I did my time. I accomplished it.
But it's
a little bit of a break. I mean, I'm still working out every day. I'm just not doing the second workout.
right. And I think it's more so about the laundry. Like, having to wash 2 sets of workout clothes every day.
But yeah, that's been our time of trying to just be intentional about getting out of the house and just have a little bit of time with just the two of us.
But it's so what's next for you all, your business? Like, what are some of the goals you have?
So we're actually in the process of taking the next steps for our growth. And that is we want to upgrade our print shop from a manual operation, which is what we have. We have a manual screen press, to an automatic screen press. And this would be a massive game changer. It would open up markets that we don't really have access to right now, like government contracts, much larger jobs, where you're printing thousands of shirts.
Our next goal.
So we're excited for that. We're working on it. Hopefully that'll come sooner rather than later. I'm hoping the next couple of weeks. We'll see.
Yeah.
As far as finalizing plans, it might take a couple months to completely implement it, but we're on the precipice of that step.
And when it comes to social media marketing, I'm also creating a course for, and I'm praying that it launches in 2025 to help others that want to start up their own printing, screen printing business, where for them to turn to. A lot of them don't know where to turn. So we want to share that and help other people build their own printing business.
Well, that's definitely the best place to teach from is your experience. There's a lot of mess out there, on the internet. Just share what you know and what you wish you would have known.
Yeah,
that's right. Very good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Be able to provide a lot of people with the value just from not having to make the mistakes that you made. Right? They may not have as many sample shirts.
That's what I was thinking. We're going to help people not have to kill so many shirts to dial in the right numbers.
And make sure that the oven is on, the heat is on, because there been times where we would trick. Those are rookie mistakes, but those are things we can share while we're teaching people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all of those checklists, all those tools that you created become huge value adds. So
Sure.
I think you're on the right track.
I wanted to hit back. You had mentioned briefly that you guys you have a non-for-profit. Tell us a little bit about what that non-for-profit is, name and what it is, what's it about.
So Golden Voice Devotions is it basically is to share the gospel, to lead people to Christ. We also help other nonprofit organizations. We Tide, we help there's other companies. There's one called the Mabuno Project, and that is a nonprofit organization that helps
spread awareness
of human trafficking. So we support that.
It's actually a vision that Tarsis had
years ago
before we met, and she was on the beach. And tell them the story.
I was just worshiping God on the beach, and it was the first time I've actually heard His voice. And God brings people to you to help you get that going. So that was a while ago.
Yeah.
And then we became a ministry 2019.
Right.
Yep. So so I do Bible studies every Thursday with a lot of people from different states.
It's interesting because a lot of times but it's going to get these inspirations. Or we kind of catch that vision, or it comes to us and we might question it. But I think a lot of times people, it's those types of things because they can't see it immediately in them, right?
Right.
I'm supposed to do that in like the next 3 months or the next 6 months. Right. That might be 6 years or 10 years or 15 or 20 years from now, right? You just got to start down the path. In our church, one of the pastors, it's very, very fond of saying, you don't have to, but it's step into that. You just need to step into the next 6 feet in front of you. Right?
Yes.
That's all you can see. You just step in that direction.
Yeah.
And so I think that with your business and everything else, right? You catch the vision, something, put it in your head, but you just have to keep moving towards that, and then the pieces will start to fall into place. But they're not. But it's the one way you can guarantee failure is just staying where you're at.
That's right.
Right. Yep, that's right.
I wanted to find out what, thinking about kind of your journey and your experiences as a married couple, also, again, working and running a business together, what advice would you give to other married couples who are considering, joining forces and running a business together?
Wow. I would definitely say God first in everything, always put Jesus at the center of everything. Trust Him, pray over your business first before, pray about it first. And there are times where we as couples, moments where we wanted to quit, building a business is blood, sweat, and tears, and we've been through all that. But God reminds us in Ephesians 3:20, and He says that He's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we ask or think. And so we must keep going no matter what, and celebrate small victories, because eventually those small victories will turn into big victories.
Yep. Yeah.
Take time for yourself, for you and your spouse.
Absolutely. Manage your stress. Don't let it overwhelm you. Have those weekly vision meetings, making sure that you're prioritizing the things that matter most. In fact, make that list when you're not stressed, when you're happy, when you know that you're clear-minded, and you list out the things that are most important. That way, when you look at it again while you're stressed, you can trust the guide instead of trusting your emotions at that moment. Because when you're upset, your emotions are going to mislead you almost every single time. We were talking about our relationship and how we can make that work better, the things we need to do. If we're working together all day and we're stressed out and we're rude to each other all day, at the end of the day, hey honey, you want to go on a date? No, get away from me. So you don't want to do that.
Yeah, we don't allow.
No. Yeah. Because we manage the stress, because we take the steps.
Yeah, so that's another good thing. Manage your stress.
But I would like to. I saw a T-shirt the other day. It was awesome. It said, I didn't want to work a 9 to 5 anymore, so I started my own business, and now I work 24/7. And it's funny because it's true. But to be honest with you, even though we do work way more than we did at a normal corporate job, this is so much better. I mean, the alternative is just,
it's a passion, you know.
Right.
Passion doesn't no longer become
it
work.
almost feels like it's not work.
It's not work. It's what you love doing. It's what you enjoy doing.
And the independence.
Yeah.
Give me liberty
It's
or give me
worth it.
death.
It's worth it, and yeah, it's definitely worth it. It's like even though you're going through that labor, you know, once the birth comes, it's so worth it.
Because you're building something that's your own.
Yeah. That's very, very important to us.
Yeah.
So I know we've got to get to the rest of our day, and we won't keep you from planting all those other seeds you need to be doing right now. So thank you guys so much for taking the time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is good.
We'll look forward to seeing you at the next event.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.